Hello, I'm Paul Geislink and I'm the trainer and assessor who's involved with the Certificate 3 and Certificate 4 courses for hospital pharmacy technicians. I want to welcome you to this, our first webcast that we're doing. We decided to have webcasts available to students because the SHPA had published a document that was looking at the role redesign for hospital pharmacy technicians, and they'd surveyed mentors and technicians, and there was a criticism made that when technicians were studying the certificate courses, there didn't seem to be enough face-to-face contact. Now that's really difficult to do for an online course, but what we've tried to do to counter that criticism is, number one, we'll be providing regular webcasts, and I encourage you all to send an email to me with particular issues or topics that you'd like discussed so that I can spend a whole webcast if necessary talking about particular topics. And also, I strongly encourage you to either call me on the mobile or to send me an email if there's an issue about a particular unit that you're having trouble with. Nothing worse, you start a unit, you have a look through the questions, and then you get stuck on a particular question. By all means, contact me and say, look, I'm having trouble with this question. I can at least have a discussion, give you some hints as to how to approach that question so that you can move on and keep things flowing. I thought it's worthwhile just to go through the process that students will undertake when they enrol in the course, given that we've been operating now since January 2016 with our online version of the course. So the first thing that will happen is students will fill in their enrolment documentation. That'll get sent into the office, and then I get notified by Matt Phillips that there's a new student enrolled, and I get a copy of your enrolment documents. What I then do is I'll send you a welcoming email. The first unit that we send to Certificate 4 students is the Workplace Health and Safety unit. It will have a web link in the email that you can click on, and that'll take you to the Dropbox. With this particular course, we've adopted the approach of having any documentation available in a Dropbox folder. So each unit of the course has its own folder. You'll be given the link, and you click on the link, it'll open up that folder and you'll be able to access the documents. Sometimes students have indicated that, particularly if they're working in a hospital department, that they can't open the link, and that's because there would be some sort of blockage in the computer system to prevent you from doing that. What I suggest you do is send the email to your home email address, click on the link at home, and you can copy any of the documents to a USB. That way you could take the USB along to work, and if there's any documents that you want to print, you can print them off at the facility. Once I receive the work from you, usually you can send a Word document or PDF attached to an email to me. I'll have a look through that and then I'll give you feedback. So I might say to you, look, I'd just like a bit more information on this question, or you haven't quite answered this question in the correct manner, and I'll give you some advice on how you can reapproach it. So I'll give you feedback once I receive your work. If I'm happy with the documentation that you've submitted, I'll say to you, you've completed the requirements for the unit. The next step in the process is that I will email our assessment tool to your mentor. The mentor will go through that checklist with you. They will sign and date it, they'll get you to sign and date it, and then they'll email that document back to me. Once I receive that document, that completed assessment tool, that means that you have completed that unit. When I first receive your documentation and give you feedback, I also always attach the link for the next unit for you to progress with. so that there's no delays in you continuing on with your next unit. We've got a system that will enable the flow to continue. Sometimes I'll send the link to a unit to students. So for example, HLT PHA 005, which is the non-sterile compounding unit, students will send me an email and say, well look, we don't actually make up products in our department. So the way that we can deal with that is I've developed 5 simulated activities and worksheets for you to work on. So once I'm notified by the student, look, there's an issue with this particular unit, then I'll respond and I'll either be able to provide you with some advice about the approach, or I'll have some simulated activities for you to progress with. I'd like to encourage all students to just send 1 unit per separate email to me. Sometimes a student will send me 2 or 3 units of work that they've done in the one email. It just makes it a little bit difficult because the way that we keep our records are, we'll have a student folder and we'll have a folder for each of the units, and I will keep a copy of each of the emails and the attached documents that I receive from students and the feedback that I give to you in the unit folder. So it just makes it so much easier if you can send 1 unit for each separate email that you do. I'd like to talk to you now about what was referred to as recognition for prior learning, RPL. Quite often we get requests from students who have completed other certificate courses or the older versions of the current course to get recognition for the work that they've done. These days it's called accelerated learning. So there are 2 different streams or pathways that we can follow. If a student has completed an older version of the unit, then all we require them to do is to complete some tasks from the current version of the unit. In 2015, the previous version of the course was reviewed, and some of the major changes to the current course has been that there are requirements that students will complete certain tasks for each of the elements, and they have to complete a certain number of tasks to do. So, for example, in the compounding, non-sterile compounding unit, HLT PHA 005, students have to complete 5 products. Now, as I've said previously, some departments don't make up any products. So the way that we've dealt with that particular requirement is that there are 5 simulated products that students can work through and fill in the worksheets and the labels. So don't forget, if you're having any problems at all with questions in a unit or a unit, you receive the Dropbox link and you think, well, we don't really do this activity in our hospital, give me a call or send me an email. I will get back to the emails within a couple of days, but if it's really urgent, call me on the mobile. Just a reminder as well, James Phillips from SWC Training, who's visited a number of hospitals in New South Wales to say hello and to find out if there's any issues with the courses that we're running. James will be attending the Medicines Management SHPA conference as well as myself. The conference goes from the 16th to the 19th. I noticed in the program that there are a number of technician presentations on the Friday and also the Saturday. So we'll both be out and about. Please, you know what I look like, come up and say hello, and we'd love to talk to you about the course and how things are going.